+1/+1 counters and card draw brought to you by Assassin's Creed Universes Beyond. Hello everybody, welcome to Nerd Lab. My name is Brian, and today we have a special deck tech for you. Most recently played on Chad Magic, which if you haven't seen them, go do yourself a favor. Go subscribe to Chad Magic, watch their gameplay videos, you will not be disappointed. But most recently on their gameplay videos, Cleopatra Exiled Pharaoh was played. As soon as I saw it, I had to do a deck tech on it. So I hit up Gathering the Magic, who made this deck, and they gave me permission to bring to you, one time only, Cleopatra Exiled Pharaoh deck tech. A link for Chad Magic and Gathering the Magic will both be in the description down below. While you're down there, if you want a chance to win our Dominator Remaster 2K giveaway for that booster box, that amazing booster box, all you got to do is like, subscribe, and type nerd, N-E-R-D, nerd, into the comments down below. And again, without further ado, let's get into the deck tech. Cleopatra Exiled Pharaoh costs 2 a black and green. She is a 2/4 human noble that says at the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target legendary creatures. She also has, whenever a legendary creature with counters on it dies, draw a card for each counter on it. You lose 2 life. Cleopatra wants both +1/+1 counter synergy and legendary creature synergy, but she pays you off with big time card draw from the command zone. So honestly, the only thing that she's missing is ramp. This 4 CMC commander is easy to get out early because we're in green, and we got all your usual suspects. Farseek, Nature's Lore, Rampant Growth, 3 visits. Casting any of these on turn 2 is going to get Cleopatra out on turn 3. Call me now. And that's exactly what we want, because we got lots of 3 and 4 mana legendary creatures, and we need them out so that Cleopatra can start distributing her 1/1 counters. You get a counter and you get a counter. We also threw in Arcane Signet and Golgari Signet, which is really important because mana fixing and versatility is actually a big deal in this deck. So that's our ramp, but what about our card draw? Card draw. Cleopatra herself is a huge card draw engine. Most important thing to note is that it is a death trigger, which is really nice because it really opens up attacking and blocking in Golgari. But stronger than that is being able to sacrifice your own creatures. Combat can be unreliable, but more important than that is a lot of board wipes and removal are going to exile instead of destroy. And you need your creature to die if you want to draw the card. So we need legendary creatures with sack outlets like Fane the Broker. This sacrifices and deals with 1/1 counters, and when you have a little extra mana, you can untap and do it again. Varls, the Scar-Striped, and Yahini Undying Partisan both have free sack outlets and can end up being pretty big themselves, which will draw you lots of cards. But I think the king is Gerard Golgari Lichlord. That sacrifice ability that also makes your opponents lose life. Look, it's not hard to get one of these creatures to be +40/+40. That's instant death to your opponents and another win for the good guys. But how do we get these creatures that big? Well, I think it's time to talk synergy. Well, we need +1/+1 counters, so let's start with Arwen, Weaver of Hope. Use Cleopatra to give Arwen +1/+1 counters, and she's going to give even more counters to each creature that ETBs under your control. And how about Bristly Bill, Spine Sower? We're in green. We're going to hit those landfall triggers every single turn, maybe twice a turn. Put a +1/+1 counter, whatever creature you want. Then for 5 mana, double the number of +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. So we're getting counters from landfall, we're getting counters from creatures coming into the battlefield. Well, what about counters from attacking? Kazur Ruthless Stalker does just that. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. And remember, with Cleopatra, we want our creatures to die, so attacking is a good thing. But I think the strongest creature in this deck is Mazarek Krull Death Priest. We all know how strong treasures, food, and clues are, Well, Mazarek's going to see every time your opponent sacrifices one of those, and it's going to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Each creature? Yes, each creature you control every time your opponent sacrifices a treasure. And when you have stuff like Hardened Scales, Doubling Season, and Branching Evolution, those counters get crazy. So we're ramping, we're drawing cards, and we're putting tons of +1/+1 counters on all of our creatures. But how do we win? I think it's time to reveal our win con. More and more I'm enjoying winning by combat damage, so Kodama of the West Tree was a great choice. It's going to give all of our giant creatures that are modified from their +1/+1 counters trample. Suruk and Goreclaw will also give your other creatures trample, and it'll give +1/+1 counters, but really when this deck starts to go off, that haste can be a game ender. But if someone's pillow forting and you can't win through combat damage, then Jared Golgari Lichlord is a great plan B. But if you can't put evasion on your gigantic creatures, just blow up your opponents. Invasion of Fioria will destroy all non-legendary creatures and leave your board almost completely intact 100% of the time. But once again, I want to thank Gathering the Magic for putting together a great deck in Cleopatra Exiled Pharaoh. And don't forget to check out Chad Magic's gameplay channel and see this deck in action. But thanks again to all my subscribers, and until next time, embrace the chaos.